It was barely 6:47 a.m., and I was in the thick of packing lunches for the school day. My sister, Chloe, has never been known for her delicate touch, but this text, arriving so early, felt like a deliberate jab. Your son won't fit in at Oceanarium Adventures. Our kids planned this for months. Yours just doesn't belong. Maybe next time. I stared at the screen, those words burning into my eyes while the coffee maker gurgled its morning song behind me. My son, Sam, had talked about nothing else for weeks. He'd shown me countless photos of orcas, recited dolphin facts like a marine biologist, and there was even a savings jar on his dresser, proudly labeled Oceanarium Fund in his distinct, slightly messy 10-year-old scrawl. Every morning at 5:30, he'd roll out of bed to deliver newspapers through our neighborhood, determined to contribute his share. Chloe's children, Harper and Liam, twins, 12 years old, attending an expensive private academy across town, had apparently decided Sam didn't meet their standards. They developed a specific kind of entitlement that blossoms when you're constantly told you're somehow above the rest. Chloe had married Julian Sterling 3 years prior, a corporate attorney with a luxury car and a watch collection that probably outvalued my entire apartment. I just typed 2 words in return: understood. No arguments, no pleading, no desperate explanations about how hard Sam had worked, or how much this trip meant to him. Chloe probably expected me to beg, to make excuses. Instead, I set my phone down and finished making sandwiches. Sam appeared in the kitchen doorway, already dressed in his delivery outfit, jeans, sneakers, and the neon safety vest I'd insisted he wear during his morning route. His dark hair stuck up in the back, and he had that sleepy yet determined expression he wore every dawn. "Morning, Mom," he said, grabbing his backpack. "Morning, sweetheart. How many houses today?" 47. Mr. Miller added his address yesterday, so I've got one extra. He said this with genuine pride, like he'd just landed a major business contract. Sam took his paper route seriously. He'd started 6 months ago, initially just for spending money, but it had become something more, a responsibility he genuinely enjoyed. Neighbors had started leaving tips, commenting on his reliability, how their newspapers always arrived dry, even in the rain, because he'd started carrying plastic bags. "That's great," I told him. "You're doing an amazing job." "Thanks. I've saved $217 total, but I spent some on new bike tires and that science book I wanted." He paused, calculating. "And Chloe said the Oceanarium tickets are about $60, right? I've got 53 in my special jar just for that." My chest tightened. He had no idea the trip had just been canceled for him, that his cousins had essentially voted him off the family vacation. I couldn't bring myself to tell him yet. Not when he looked so hopeful. "We'll talk about it later, okay? You should get going before it gets too late." He nodded, shouldering his bag and heading out the door. Through the window, I watched him unlock his bike from the garage and pedal down the street, his vest glowing in the early morning darkness. That kid worked harder than most adults I knew, and he did it without complaint. I picked up my phone again and opened my banking app. The numbers staring back from my bank app weren't exactly jaw-dropping. Just under 4,000 in checking, and maybe 12,000 in a savings account I'd meticulously built for years, purely as an emergency cushion. I worked as a medical transcriptionist. The money was decent, but nothing extravagant. We lived comfortably enough, though comfortable meant careful budgeting and second-hand shopping. But I also had another account, one I rarely touched, one most people didn't even know existed. 5 years ago, my father, Arthur, had passed away unexpectedly. He'd been a quiet man, a mechanical engineer who'd lived modestly despite earning well. In his will, he'd left me $180,000, his life insurance payout and retirement savings combined. The money had sat in a separate investment account ever since, growing slowly. I'd always intended to use it for Sam's college fund, maybe a house down payment eventually. I'd never touched it for anything frivolous. Every purchase got weighed carefully, every expense justified. But sitting there in my kitchen, thinking about Sam on his bike delivering papers while Chloe's kids slept in their heated bedrooms, something shifted. My sister had always been like this. Growing up, she'd been the golden child, prettier, more social, better at sports. Our mother, Evelyn, had favored her openly, making excuses whenever Chloe acted selfishly. "She's just confident," Evelyn would say. "You're too sensitive." The favoritism had continued into adulthood. When Chloe married Julian, Evelyn threw them an extravagant engagement party and funded their honeymoon to Santorini. When I married Sam's father, a marriage that ended in divorce 2 years later, Evelyn offered lukewarm congratulations, then complained about my registry being too practical. Even now, Chloe got the praise, the attention, the assumption that her life choices were superior. Her kids attended the best schools, took violin lessons, went to summer camps in Costa Rica. Meanwhile, Sam delivered newspapers before dawn and considered a trip to Oceanarium Adventures the adventure of a lifetime. I opened my laptop and started researching. Oceanarium Adventures in Miami offered various VIP experiences, but I scrolled past the basic packages. If we were doing this, we were doing it properly. Buried deep within their premium offerings, I found it. The ultimate VIP experience. A private tour guide for the entire day. Behind-the-scenes access to animal habitats. Front-row seating at every show. Exclusive meet and greets with trainers, a gourmet lunch at a reserved cabana, and special animal interaction programs. The price tag made me pause. $25,000 for our group. But here's the thing. I wasn't just booking for Sam and me. I started making calls. First, I contacted my best friend from college, Maria Sanchez, who had 2 kids around Sam's age. They lived paycheck to paycheck. A trip like this would never fit their budget. "Are you serious?" Maria asked when I explained. "You're really offering to pay for everything?" "Completely serious. Flights, hotel, the works. Sam needs friends there, and I know your kids would have a blast." Next, I called my cousin, Mark, a single father raising his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, after his wife died in a car accident 3 years ago. Mark worked construction and barely scraped by. Lily was a sweet kid who'd been through hell. "I don't know what to say," Mark told me, his voice thick. "Lily talks about Sam all the time. This would mean everything to her." Finally, I reached out to Ms. Henderson, the elderly woman from Sam's paper route. She'd mentioned once that her grandson, Noah, a 9-year-old from Nebraska, was visiting for the summer because his parents were going through a difficult divorce. "He could use some fun," she'd said sadly. I arranged everything. 6 children total. Sam, Maria's 2 kids, Daniel and Sophia, Lily and Noah, plus myself, Maria, Mark and Ms. Henderson as chaperones. I booked first-class flights, a suite at the Grand Harborview Hotel overlooking the bay, and that ultimate VIP experience package that included things Chloe's family would never get access to. All told, with meals, transportation, and a little extra spending money for everyone, the bill nudged past $47,000. I transferred the funds from that investment account. Not a single hesitation. Then I waited. Chloe posted about their oceanarium trip constantly. Photos of Harper and Liam in matching designer outfits. Videos of them complaining about the Miami heat. Commentary about how basic the regular admission crowds were. Julian appeared in several shots wearing boat shoes and a polo shirt, looking vaguely annoyed by everything. They went on a Wednesday. We went on Saturday. I didn't post anything beforehand. No announcements, no hints, no indication that we were planning anything at all. When Chloe texted asking how Sam was handling not being included, I simply replied that he was fine. Our trip started the second we walked into the airport. Sam's eyes went wide, then wider, as I led our group straight to the first-class check-in. "Mom," he whispered, tugging on my shirt, "I think we're in the wrong line." "We're exactly where we need to be," I told him. On the plane, the kids couldn't stop giggling as flight attendants brought them warm cookies and let them pick movies on personal screens. Lily fell asleep with her head on Mark's shoulder, smiling peacefully. Noah kept looking around like he expected someone to tell him this was all a mistake. The hotel suite had 3 bedrooms and a living area bigger than my entire apartment. The kids ran from room to room, shouting about the view and the fancy bathrooms and the robes hanging in the closets. Ms. Henderson settled into an armchair by the window, tears in her eyes. "I've never stayed anywhere this nice," she said quietly. Saturday morning arrived with clear blue skies. Our private tour guide, a marine biologist named Dr. Elena, met us at a VIP entrance away from the main crowds. She wore an official oceanarium uniform and carried a tablet with our personalized itinerary. "You must be Sam," she said, kneeling to his level. "I heard you've been studying orcas. How would you like to help prepare their breakfast?" His face lit up in a way I'd never seen before. "Really? I can do that." "Absolutely." That's our first stop. What followed was 8 hours of experiences that felt almost magical. The kids stood in the orca kitchen, learning about nutrition and marine mammal care. They touched stingrays in a private pool while trainers explained conservation efforts. During the orca show, we sat in the front row of a reserved section, so close that the splash zone actually meant something. But the real moment came during the dolphin encounter. Dr. Elena led us to a restricted area where the training pools were located. Only staff typically accessed this space, but our package included a 45-minute session with 2 dolphins named Star and Luna. The kids got to give hand signals, feed fish, and even touch the dolphins while trainers supervised. Sam was shaking with excitement. "Mom, they're so smart," he kept saying. "Did you see how Luna knew exactly what I was asking her to do?" Lily started crying happy tears when one of the dolphins splashed her playfully. Daniel and Sophia kept high-fiving each other. Noah asked approximately 800 questions, and the trainers answered every single one with patience and genuine enthusiasm. Meanwhile, I took photos. Lots of photos. The kids laughing, the dolphins jumping, Dr. Elena explaining marine biology concepts that went over everyone's heads, but still felt important. Ms. Henderson holding Noah's hand as he nervously approached the pool edge. Mark with his arm around Lily, both of them grinning. And I posted exactly one photo to social media. It was a shot of all 6 kids standing in front of the Orca Stadium sign, wearing matching VIP lanyards that Dr. Elena had given them. Sam was in the center, holding up a plush orca that cost $40 from the gift shop, money I'd spent without a second thought. The caption read, "Sometimes the best family isn't the one you're born into." #Oceanarium Adventures #Making Memories. I tagged the location and hit post. Chloe called 17 minutes later. What the hell is this? She demanded. You took Sam to Oceanarium Adventures anyway. I did, I said calmly. We were eating lunch in our private cabana at the time. Gourmet sandwiches and fresh fruit, while the kids compared their favorite moments from the morning. After I specifically told you he couldn't come with us. You said he wouldn't fit in with your family, so I made sure he fit in with people who actually appreciate him. This is ridiculous. Do you have any idea how much you embarrass me? My friends saw your post. They're asking why we didn't do the VIP experience. Maybe because you were too busy teaching your children to exclude their cousin. Chloe sputtered. That's not Harper and Liam just thought Sam might feel uncomfortable around their friends. We were trying to be considerate. By telling a 10-year-old boy who delivers newspapers at dawn to save money that he doesn't belong. Yeah, that's really considerate. You always do this, she snapped. You always play the victim and make everything about how hard your life is. Some of us actually work for what we have instead of what? Marrying rich. Because that's your big accomplishment, Chloe. You found a guy with money, and now you act like you built an empire. The line went quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice had gone cold. Evelyn's going to hear about this. I'm sure she will. Tell her I said hi. I hung up and returned to the table where Sam was explaining the difference between orcas and dolphins to Noah with the authority of someone who'd spent exactly 3 hours with marine animals. Our mother called that evening while the kids were watching a movie in the suite's living room. Chloe is very upset, Evelyn began. No greeting, no pleasantries, just straight to the lecture. I imagine she is. She says you spent an obscene amount of money just to show off. I spent money making sure my son and his friends had an incredible experience. If that upsets Chloe, she can examine why. You've always been jealous of your sister, Evelyn said, falling into her familiar script. Ever since you were children, you couldn't stand to see her happy. This has nothing to do with jealousy. Chloe excluded Sam from a family trip because their kids decided he wasn't good enough. I'm not going to let him think that's acceptable. The twins are going through a phase. They wanted time with their school friends. That's normal at their age. Then she could have said that instead of telling me Sam doesn't belong. She could have planned a different trip. She could have done literally anything except make a 10-year-old feel worthless. Evelyn sighed dramatically. You're being oversensitive as usual. Chloe was trying to make things easier for everyone. You took it personally and created this whole situation. I created this situation by taking my son on vacation? By rubbing Chloe's nose in it with that post? By spending money you probably don't have just to prove a point. I almost laughed. You have no idea what I have or don't have, Evelyn. You've never bothered to ask. Well, I'm asking you now to apologize to your sister. This family doesn't need more drama. I'm not apologizing for giving Sam a good experience. If Chloe wants an apology, she should start by explaining to Sam why he wasn't welcome on her trip. He's 10. He wouldn't even understand. He's 10, and he understood perfectly when I had to tell him his cousins didn't want him there. He cried in his room for an hour. But sure, Evelyn. Let's protect Chloe's feelings instead. She made a disgusted sound. I don't know what's gotten into you. This isn't like you at all. Maybe it should have been like me all along. I ended the call and silenced my phone. Through the doorway, I could see Sam sprawled on the carpet with the other kids, pointing at something on the TV screen and laughing. He looked happy. He looked like a kid who'd spent the day being treated like he mattered. That was worth every penny. The rest of the weekend passed in a blur of activities. Sunday included a second day at Oceanarium Adventures, where we revisited favorite exhibits and caught shows we'd missed. Dr. Elena arranged for Sam to sit in on a sea lion training session, something he'd mentioned wanting to see. The trainer let him blow the whistle during a trick demonstration, and I captured video of his face, pure joy, unfiltered and complete. We flew home Monday afternoon. At the airport, Ms. Henderson pulled me aside while the kids were busy at a bookstore. "I need you to understand something," she said softly. "My grandson's father hasn't called him once since he arrived. Not once. His mother is so wrapped up in the divorce that Noah feels invisible. This weekend gave him something to hold on to." "They deserved it," I said simply. "Not everyone would see it that way. Most people would say you spent too much, that you were being spiteful." "Maybe I was a little spiteful," I admitted. "But Sam deserved to feel special. They all did." She hugged me, this woman I barely knew beyond polite hellos during newspaper deliveries. "You're a good mother. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." The backlash came gradually. Chloe stopped speaking to me entirely, blocking my number and social media accounts. Evelyn called periodically to deliver guilt trips about tearing the family apart and creating divisions. Some of Chloe's friends, women I'd met briefly at family gatherings, sent passive-aggressive messages about fiscal responsibility and teaching children proper values. I ignored all of it. What I couldn't ignore was the change in Sam. He went back to his paper route with renewed energy, telling customers about his trip and showing pictures on his phone to anyone interested. He started a journal documenting everything he'd learned about marine biology, filling pages with drawings and facts and questions he wanted to research. One evening, about 2 weeks after we returned, he came into the kitchen while I was cooking dinner. "Mom, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Did Aunt Chloe really say I couldn't go on their trip?" I'd been waiting for this question, dreading it. "She did, sweetheart. Because I'm not rich like Harper and Liam?" My hand stilled on the knife I'd been using to chop vegetables. "Where did you hear that?" "I heard you on the phone with Grandma Evelyn." I wasn't trying to listen, but my door was open. I set the knife down and turned to face him fully. Aunt Chloe made a choice about who she wanted on her trip. That choice had nothing to do with your worth as a person and everything to do with her priorities. She thinks I'm not good enough. Some people measure worth by the wrong things. Money, status, appearances. But you know what actually matters? Character, kindness, hard work. You have all of those in abundance. He considered this, his expression serious. "Is that why you took us on the VIP trip? To prove I am good enough?" "I took you on that trip because you've been working hard and talking about oceanarium adventures for months. I wanted you to have an amazing experience. The VIP part was just to ensure everything was perfect. But it cost a lot of money, right? I saw the prices online. Even the regular tickets are expensive, and we did all the special stuff." There was no point lying to him. Sam was smart, observant. "It costs more than a regular trip would have, yes. Are we going to be okay? Like, money-wise?" The question broke my heart a little. 10 years old, and he was worrying about finances. "We're going to be absolutely fine. I have savings for situations exactly like this." That money was meant to be used for important things, and making sure you had that experience was important to me. More important than college savings. "I have separate money for your college." This came from a different account. "Money your grandfather left me specifically to use for our family. He would have loved knowing it gave you those memories." Sam nodded slowly, processing. Then he said something that surprised me. "Harper and Liam didn't look very happy in Aunt Chloe's pictures." "What do you mean?" "In all the photos she posted, they just looked kind of bored. Like they were there but didn't really care. But in our pictures, everyone's smiling for real. Lily was laughing so hard when that dolphin splashed her. Noah kept saying it was the best day of his life. He was right. Scrolling back through Chloe's posts, her kids did look somewhat disengaged, going through motions, posing for photos, but not genuinely enjoying themselves. Our pictures showed something different. Authentic happiness, real connection. Sometimes, I said carefully, the best experiences aren't the ones that look impressive to other people. They're the ones that actually make you feel something. I felt something, Sam said firmly. I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. 3 months passed. Chloe's silence continued, which honestly felt more peaceful than our previous relationship had been. Evelyn eventually stopped calling about the situation, though she still made pointed comments during the occasional family gathering about certain people causing unnecessary conflict. I didn't care. Sam was thriving. His grades improved because he'd started paying more attention in science class, particularly anything related to biology or conservation. He began volunteering at a local animal shelter on weekends, walking dogs and cleaning cages. The paper route continued, but now his savings went toward a different goal. He wanted to visit the Monterey Bay Aquarium next. They have jellies, he explained seriously. Like a whole exhibition of jellyfish. And sea otters. We have to go, Mom. We'll plan something, I promised. Mark called me in late November. I don't know if you remember, but Lily's birthday is coming up. She wants to do something ocean-themed, because she can't stop thinking about the dolphins. Would you? I mean, I know it's a lot to ask, but would you consider coming to her party? You and Sam? She specifically requested you both. Of course, we'll come. Just tell me when and where. The party was at a community center decorated with blue streamers and cardboard cutouts of sea creatures. Lily wore a dolphin costume she'd apparently begged for, and her smile when she saw Sam arrive was worth everything. Maria and her kids showed up, too. Daniel had started a marine conservation club at his middle school, inspired by the trainers we'd met. Sophia had written a school report about orcas that earned her an A+ and a spot in the school's science fair. Ms. Henderson brought Noah, who was visiting again. The divorce had finalized, but Noah's relationship with both parents remained strained. Still, he seemed lighter, somehow more comfortable in his own skin. He and Sam picked up their friendship like no time had passed. Watching these kids interact, seeing the bonds they formed, I realized something. Chloe had actually done me a favor by excluding Sam. If she'd included him on that original trip, he would have spent the day feeling lesser than, watching her kids and their friends make him feel small. Instead, he'd had an experience surrounded by people who valued him, who celebrated his interests, who treated him like he belonged. That was worth infinitely more than a regular family trip would have been. Christmas approached, bringing the annual family gathering at Evelyn's house. I debated whether to attend, but Sam wanted to see his grandfather, Arthur, and some of our extended relatives. Plus, I wasn't going to let Chloe's disapproval keep me away from family traditions. The gathering was predictably awkward. Chloe arrived with Julian and the twins, all dressed in matching designer outfits that probably cost more than my car payment. She ignored me completely, making a show of greeting everyone else warmly while pretending I didn't exist. The twins, however, surprised me. Harper approached Sam while the adults were busy in the kitchen. "Hey," she said quietly. "I saw your posts about oceanarium adventures. It looked really fun." Sam glanced at me, uncertain. I nodded encouragingly. "It was amazing," he told her. "We got to feed dolphins and learn about orca training. The tour guide was a real marine biologist. That's cool. I like dolphins. She hesitated, then added, I'm sorry we didn't invite you on our trip. Evelyn said it was because we wanted to go with school friends, but honestly, Liam and I were the only kids from school who went. It was mostly just us being bored. This wasn't a coached apology. Chloe would never have allowed such a concession. This was Harper, operating entirely on her own, a flicker of genuine introspection in her eyes. It's okay, Sam said generously. I had fun on my trip. I could tell from the pictures. You looked really happy. Later, I overheard Liam talking to his father about marine biology careers, mentioning something Sam had posted on social media about conservation work. Julian was half listening, scrolling through his phone, but Liam seemed genuinely interested. Chloe noticed these interactions. I watched her face tighten as she observed her children engaging with Sam, showing interest in his experiences. She said something sharp to Harper that I couldn't hear, but Harper just shrugged and continued her conversation. The power dynamic had shifted. Sam was no longer the cousin who didn't measure up. He was the kid who'd had an incredible adventure, who knew things about marine life, who'd been treated like a VIP. Chloe's children could sense that, even if their mother refused to acknowledge it. Before we left, Arthur pulled me aside. My father had always been a quiet presence, observing more than speaking. But when he did talk, it meant something. I heard about the oceanarium situation, he said. I figured you would. Evelyn thinks you were spiteful. Chloe thinks you were showing off. He paused, studying my face. I think you were being a good mother. Coming from him, that meant everything. Thank you, Dad. That money from your grandfather, he continued. He left it to you specifically because he knew you'd use it wisely. Not for status, not for appearances. For things that actually matter. You honored his memory well. I hugged him, biting back tears. I just wanted Sam to know he's valued. He knows. Anyone can see that. Driving home that evening, Sam was quiet in the back seat. Finally, he said, Harper told me she wished she'd been on our trip instead of theirs. Really? Yeah. She said their tour guide was just some college kid who didn't really know anything, and they mostly just waited in long lines. She asked if we could all go to the aquarium together sometime. What did you tell her? I said maybe. Is that okay? That's completely okay. The door is always open for people who want to make things right. He nodded, satisfied, and returned to looking out the window. The new year brought unexpected developments. Chloe's marriage, which had always seemed perfect from the outside, started showing cracks. Julian had apparently been having an affair with a paralegal from his firm, something that came out when the paralegal's boyfriend found incriminating texts and contacted Chloe directly. Evelyn called me about it, her voice shaking. Chloe is devastated. She's talking about divorce. The twins are so upset. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, and I genuinely was. Whatever issues existed between Chloe and me, I didn't want her to suffer. She needs family right now. Could you maybe reach out? Let her know you're there for her. Evelyn, she blocked my number, remember? She made it very clear she doesn't want contact with me. That was different. This is serious. My son being excluded was serious, too. But Chloe didn't see it that way. Evelyn sighed, frustrated. Why do you have to be so stubborn? Can't you just be the bigger person? I am being the bigger person by not pointing out that Chloe's marriage problems don't erase how she treated Sam. If she wants support, she knows where to find me. But I'm not going to chase after someone who spent months making it clear I'm not welcome in her life. The conversation ended tensely, but I stood firm. Chloe had made choices. She could make the choice to reach out if she wanted reconciliation. 2 weeks later, she did. The text arrived late, on a Tuesday night. "Can we talk?" I waited until morning to respond. "I'm available Thursday after 3 p.m. We met at a coffee shop halfway between our neighborhoods. Chloe looked different, less polished, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail instead of her usual styled waves. She'd lost weight, and dark circles shadowed her eyes. "Thank you for meeting me," she said quietly. "Of course." For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then Chloe said, "I've been thinking about oceanarium adventures a lot. Not just the trip itself, but everything that happened. How I handled it, what I said about Sam." She wrapped both hands around her coffee cup. "I was wrong." The admission surprised me. "What changed your mind?" "Honestly, watching my marriage fall apart and realizing Julian is exactly the kind of person I raised my kids to be. Status-obsessed, image-focused, willing to discard people when they're inconvenient." Her voice cracked slightly. "The twins have been talking about your trip for months. They ask why they can't do fun things like that, why our vacation felt boring, and I realized I taught them to value all the wrong things." "Chloe, let me finish, please." She took a shaky breath. "When you posted those pictures of Sam looking so happy, surrounded by kids who genuinely cared about him, I felt jealous. Not because of the VIP experience, but because my kids don't have friendships like that. They have classmates they compete with, kids they try to impress, but they don't have real friends who light up when they're around." I let her words settle between us. "I excluded Sam because I thought he'd make us look bad," Chloe continued. "Because he delivers papers and wears second-hand clothes and doesn't fit the image I wanted to project. And in doing that, I denied my own children the chance to connect with their cousin, to learn what actually matters in life. Sam would still love to have a relationship with Harper and Liam," I said carefully. "He talks about them sometimes. Wonders what they're up to. They ask about him, too. Especially now, when everything feels uncertain." She met my eyes. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness after how I acted, but I'm asking if we can start over. Not pretend nothing happened, but actually address it and move forward. What does that look like to you?" "I want to apologize to Sam directly. I want my kids to understand why what happened was wrong. And I want to work on being the kind of person, the kind of mother, who values people for who they are instead of what they have." We talked for 2 hours that afternoon. Chloe explained the full scope of her marital problems, and I shared details about the investment account and Arthur's inheritance that I'd never told her about. She'd assumed I'd gone into debt for the oceanarium trip, which had added another layer of resentment. Learning the truth seemed to shift something in her understanding. "You could have rubbed it in my face," she said. "Posted about the money, made it clear you had resources I didn't know about, but you didn't, because that wasn't the point. The point was Sam having a good experience. He's a great kid. I've been too caught up in my own stuff to see that clearly." Before we parted, Chloe asked if Sam might want to attend Harper's upcoming birthday party. A small gathering at their house with family only. "Nothing fancy," she promised. "Just cake and games." But the twins specifically asked if he could come. "I'll ask him," I agreed. Sam said yes immediately. The party happened on a Saturday afternoon, and I watched carefully as my son interacted with his cousins. They'd set up a video game tournament, something Sam had mentioned enjoying during a previous conversation. Harper had researched ocean conservation organizations as party favors, small donation certificates to various marine charities made in each guest's name. It was thoughtful in a way I hadn't expected from her. During cake, Liam asked Sam about his paper route, genuinely curious about the logistics and the money management. Sam explained his savings system, how he budgeted for different goals, how he started investing small amounts with my help. That's actually really smart, Liam said, sounding impressed. I just spend my allowance on whatever. Maybe you could start saving for something, Sam suggested. It feels good to work toward a goal. Watching them interact like actual family, seeing Chloe observe her children learning from their cousin, felt like a corner had been turned. Not everything was fixed. Julian's betrayal still hung over Chloe's household, and years of dysfunction between us couldn't be erased by one conversation. But it was a beginning. Spring arrived with unexpected news. Maria called to say her company was transferring her to Denver. I hate to move the kids, she told me, but the promotion is too good to pass up. Daniel and Sophia are disappointed about leaving their friends. They'll make new friends, I assured her. And you'll visit. Plus, Sam can keep in touch with them online. He's such a good influence on them. Daniel's actually talking about marine biology as a potential career because of that oceanarium trip. That's wild. After we hung up, I reflected on how one decision, one expensive, possibly excessive decision, had created ripple effects I never could have anticipated. Sam had found confidence. Lily had a core memory to sustain her through her father's grief. Noah had experienced stability and joy during a chaotic time. Daniel had discovered a career interest. Sophia had excelled academically, and Chloe had been forced to confront her values. The money itself didn't matter. Arthur's inheritance had been meant for our family's well-being, and nothing had served Sam's well-being better than showing him he was worth celebrating exactly as he was. Sam's 11th birthday approached in June. He'd requested a simple party, just close friends and family, maybe at a local park. No elaborate themes, no expensive entertainment, just people he cared about spending time together. Are you sure? I asked. We could do something bigger if you want. I'm sure. The best part of Oceanarium Adventures wasn't the VIP stuff, even though that was amazing. It was being with people who wanted me there. That's what I want for my birthday too. We held a party at a park with a lake view. Mark brought Lily, who'd made Sam a hand-drawn card featuring dolphins and orcas. Ms. Henderson came with Noah, who brought his game console so he and Sam could play together. Chloe arrived with Harper and Liam, who'd pooled their allowance to buy Sam a beginner's marine biology textbook they'd special ordered. Maria video called from Denver so her kids could wish Sam happy birthday remotely. Daniel had sent a care package earlier in the week, a collection of marine conservation articles, and a handwritten letter about their oceanarium adventure. Watching Sam blow out candles surrounded by this group of people, I understood something fundamental. Wealth isn't measured in bank accounts or VIP experiences. It's measured in relationships, in people who show up, in moments that matter. Chloe helped clean up after the party, working alongside me to pack leftover food and break down decorations. He's really happy, she observed. Just genuinely happy with simple things. He learned early that happiness doesn't come from stuff. It comes from feeling valued. I'm still learning that lesson, she admitted. The divorce is forcing me to reevaluate everything. Julian's attorney is arguing I should get less support because I married into wealth rather than earning it myself. Turns out all those things I thought made me superior were just borrowed status. You're more than your marriage. I'm trying to believe that. The twins and I are moving to a smaller place next month. Downsizing significantly. I won't lie, it's terrifying, but also kind of freeing. Like maybe we'll figure out who we actually are without all the expensive distractions. We loaded the last bag into my car, and she hugged me unexpectedly. Thank you for not giving up on me completely. I didn't deserve your patience. We're family, I said simply. That means something. Summer brought changes for everyone. Chloe's divorce finalized, leaving her with a modest settlement and primary custody of the twins. She'd started working as a marketing consultant, something she'd done before meeting Julian, but had given up after marriage. The twins adjusted to their new circumstances with surprising resilience, particularly after Harper started volunteering at the same animal shelter where Sam worked. Sam's paper route expanded to 73 houses. He'd become a fixture in the neighborhood, the reliable kid who brought your news, rain or shine. Tips increased, and he'd started getting requests for additional services, collecting mail during vacations, watering plants, taking in packages. I'm basically running a small business, he told me proudly. Mr. Peterson asked if I'd be interested in mowing lawns, too, but I said I need to focus on my current commitments. 11 years old, and he understood business capacity. My kid amazed me constantly. In August, Arthur had a health scare, a mild heart attack that landed him in the hospital for observation. The family gathered, tensions temporarily forgotten in the face of potential loss. Dad recovered well, but the incident reminded everyone how fragile life could be. Sitting in the hospital waiting room, Chloe said quietly, I keep thinking about all the time I wasted being angry at you over Oceanarium adventures. Dad could have died, and I would have spent his last months not speaking to my sister over something so stupid. It wasn't stupid to you at the time. It was always stupid. I just couldn't see past my own ego. Evelyn, overhearing this, looked between us with an expression I couldn't quite read. Later, she pulled me aside. I owe you an apology too, she said. I dismissed your feelings about Chloe excluding Sam. I prioritized keeping peace over addressing real hurt. That was wrong. I appreciate you saying that. Your father told me I was being blind to the favoritism I'd shown Chloe for years. I didn't want to hear it, but he was right. I'm trying to do better. These weren't perfect reconciliations. Years of patterns don't disappear with a few conversations, but they were genuine attempts at change, and that mattered. Fall brought an unexpected invitation. Oceanarium Adventures in Miami contacted me directly. Dr. Elena, our tour guide from the VIP experience, had apparently mentioned our group in a staff meeting about meaningful guest interactions. The marketing department wanted to feature Sam in a campaign about young people passionate about marine conservation. They're offering compensation, I explained to Sam, showing him the email. And they donate to a marine conservation charity of your choice. But it would involve some interviews and possibly filming. You don't have to say yes. He read the email carefully, his face serious. Would this help with ocean conservation? It could raise awareness, yes. Then I want to do it. The filming happened in October. A quick trip back to Miami. Oceanarium Adventures flew us out, coach this time, which felt appropriate, and put us up in a regular hotel. Sam spent 2 days being interviewed about his interests, filmed feeding sea lions, and recorded segments about the importance of protecting marine habitats. Chloe's twins asked if they could come along, and I agreed. Watching Harper and Liam engage with the conservation messaging, seeing them actually listen and learn instead of performing for social media, showed how much they'd changed. The campaign launched in December, featuring Sam alongside several other young conservationists from around the country. His segment focused on how one transformative experience had sparked a lasting passion, how accessibility to marine education could create the next generation of scientists and advocates. I used to think places like this were just for rich people, Sam said in his interview portion. But they're really for anyone who cares about protecting our oceans. That's something everyone can be part of, no matter where you come from. The video went moderately viral, shared by conservation organizations and education advocates. Sam handled the attention with characteristic humility, redirecting people toward actual marine biologists and researchers worth following. Chloe texted after seeing the campaign. "You raised an incredible human. I hope you know that." "I'm aware," I wrote back, smiling. Christmas that year felt different from the previous one. Our family gathering included Mark and Lily, Maria and her kids who flew in from Denver, Ms. Henderson and Noah. This group had become our extended, chosen family. People bound not by blood, but by shared experiences and genuine care. Sam organized a gift exchange with a twist. Everyone brought donations to local charities instead of personal gifts. He'd researched organizations supporting various causes and created a list for people to choose from. The twins contributed their allowance to an ocean conservation fund. Lily's donation went to a grief counseling center for children. Noah chose a literacy program. "This was Sam's idea?" Evelyn asked, watching him explain each charity to the younger kids. "Completely his initiative," I confirmed. "He's quite something." She paused, then added carefully, "You did this. You raised him to care about things that matter. I just tried not to mess him up too badly. You did more than that. You showed him his worth when the rest of us failed to." That oceanarium trip, I understand now, it wasn't about spite or showing off. It was about showing him he deserved good things. Looking around the room at this complicated, imperfect, genuine gathering of people, shaped and changed by one decision to choose love over exclusion, I felt something settle in my chest. Sam caught my eye from across the room and smiled, holding up a sea turtle ornament someone had given him. Happy, confident, secure in his place in the world. That, I thought, was worth everything. The money, the planning, the family drama, the difficult conversations, all of it had led to this moment where my son knew without question that he belonged. Not because of what he owned or how he looked or who his relatives were, but because of who he was. A kid who delivered newspapers at dawn, saved his money for meaningful goals, cared about marine conservation, and treated people with kindness. Chloe approached, holding 2 cups of eggnog. She handed me one and stood beside me, watching the kids play. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" "For not letting me ruin Sam with my toxicity. For protecting him when I was trying to teach my kids he wasn't good enough. For being strong enough to fight back. I wasn't fighting you. I was fighting for him." "I know. That's what makes it matter." We stood together in silence, 2 sisters who'd taken very different paths to this moment of understanding. The journey hadn't been easy, and we'd probably stumble again in the future. Families always do. But watching Sam laugh with his cousins, seeing how my expensive, possibly excessive response to cruelty had created ripples of positive change for multiple families, I knew I'd make the same choice again. Sometimes, love looks like a 5-figure VIP experience. Other times, it's a simple park birthday party. And sometimes, it's just setting firm boundaries, refusing to accept anything less than what your children deserve. Always, it looks like showing up for the people who matter and teaching them their worth is inherent, not earned through performance or status or approval from others. Sam would carry that lesson forward. So would Harper and Liam, Lily, Noah, Daniel, and Sophia. They'd all learned that belonging isn't about fitting into someone else's narrow definition of acceptable. It's about finding your people, the ones who celebrate you exactly as you are. And that, ultimately, was the real victory. Not making Chloe feel bad, but making sure Sam felt good, secure, valued, loved. Everything else was just details. What's a time you've stood up for someone important to you, even when it meant facing family friction?